This episode is brought to you by the Boneyard Huskies Club. The Boneyard Huskies Club empowers UConn student athletes while providing UConn fans with access to exclusive community, utility, and rewards. The Boneyard Huskies Club is excited to announce Locker Mania. If the UConn men's basketball team wins the NCAA championship, fans who purchase a Boneyard Huskies Club men's basketball 2022-2023 season collectible will automatically receive full credit back for each purchase, and the athletes will still receive the full revenue from sales of their collectibles. For more information, go to boneyardhuskiesclub.com. That's Huskies with a YZ at the end. boneyardhuskiesclub.com.
Okay, Big East women's tournament is right around the corner, so there's only one guy to have on the podcast, and that's the voice of the Huskies, Bob Joyce. Bob, welcome back to the podcast.
Oh, geez, I thought you might get fans on if you talked about the Big East. Hey, John would be great too, but thanks for having me on, Jared. Even though we're done with a Gino Oriema live show at Cafe Aura. It ran from 7 to 8, but there was an after show, and that went till about 9 o'clock. Gino was on a roll tonight.
So take me through. I'm curious. You've been covering this team for a while on the radio. What has this season been like for you? Because I feel like this has to be one of the more interesting seasons that this team has had in a while.
Wow, no question. I mean, we've had more close games in the last 10 than probably the last 15 years combined.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably, I think the number's within 20. I mean, but yeah, it's been such an odd season. We thought last year couldn't be any worse, but it's been much worse this year, given the injuries, given who's out,
Yeah,
for how long, the ups and downs of this team, the Gino's comments after games recently, and he's not wrong. I mean, you see the same things over and over and over a 10-game span, and they're going to get the ire of a coach and a coaching staff, and now they have a chance to regroup and hopefully get things right. But this is not a given. I mean, there are a lot of teams that have reason to want to win the Big East tournament, and UConn's not a clear-cut favorite. In fact, I would almost say that Villanova would be the favorite going in, but it's going to be a fun, interesting weekend at
yeah,
this weekend.
it is. When you look at this team this year, through all of the ups and downs, what's impressed you the most from this team this season so far?
Well, a lot of it, Jared, is just finding ways to get it done. I mean, they've been in a lot of close games. I mean, the comeback win against Creighton, finding a way to get it done at DePaul. They gave South Carolina, obviously, a big battle, and I wonder how much gas they spent in that game because they played great, and they used, obviously, the crowd as a big motivator to keep them in it. And but unfortunately, they fell short. And then, you wondered, like, after South Carolina, what they would have at Marquette, and they didn't have much, obviously. And then even the game against St. John's, who they had just beaten Creighton and Villanova, and you wonder what they were going to have against St. John's, and the Johnnies came in and played great. But I would say resiliency. I mean, yeah, look, nobody can say that a Gino Oriema coach team now doesn't know how to win close games. God knows they've been in enough of them this year, and like the last 10, all single-digit games. I mean, we've never seen that in the history of UConn women's basketball, even before Gino got there. No games, win or lose, they've never had this margin over a 10-game span. So it's something new, but you hope they can build off of it. You hope the 2 days off that they had on Tuesday and Wednesday, where they just started practicing today for the Big East tournament, will help. And then you hope that the 10-day layoff, or 11, whenever they get knocked out of the tournament, the Big East, or if they get to Monday, does them some good for the NCAAs. Now, will AZ FUD be a factor? Good question. I mean, Gino, I thought, answered that pretty well Monday night with Mike Anthony. I mean, it might make a little bit of a difference, and you hope that an AZ FUD would be back, but same thing as Paige. It'll take her some time to get acclimated again, because someone who has basically played 32 minutes since December 4th, that's a lot to ask of a young lady, but we'll see.
Given what this team has been through from an injuries perspective, how big do you think it's been getting Caroline Ducharme back for these past few games, and now having her as a piece, heading forward?
Well, I think it's important, but I mean, she's not even 100%. I mean, she's dealing with migraine headaches all the time. I don't know if you watched Monday, but that black medical tape they put on, and she had it all up and down her neck. I mean, she's still dealing with neck and shoulder soreness as a result of the concussion. I mean, what she got was pretty bad.
Yeah.
On January 3rd, or January 2nd, I should say, before they left to go to Cincinnati and what was the other one? Indianapolis. So, and it took her a long time to come back, but slowly she's starting to get back into it. I mean, her first game back was Creighton. She scored 10 in the fourth quarter, and people thought, oh man, everything's fixed. Well, no. I mean, you can't expect a player to be out that long and to be effective right away. And since then, it's been a bit of a struggle for her shooting the basketball. She's made some mistakes on offense and defense, and it certainly had helped. I mean, that's for sure. But and it's funny, Gino brought this up tonight, Jared. UConn didn't play a Big East game this year with a full lineup.
Yeah.
Think about that.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's crazy to think. But and that doesn't even include Ice and Azzi or Ice and Page.
Yeah.
So that's just amazing to even think about. And given everything that's happened, Carolina will be a piece, gain some more confidence, hopefully get a little better. Again, the respite will do a lot of people good. I mean, they got 2 days away from basketball, Jared, on Tuesday and Wednesday this week. And Gino saw some good things come out of it. But, it comes down to the fine details. Like he said Monday, listening, paying attention to what's being said, pay attention to what's being asked of you on the court. When your coach is asking you to do something, go out and do it instead of, as Gino said, here's my phone. Jared, I'm going to give it to you. But and I want you to give it back to me. But instead of you giving it back to me, you give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's what he was trying to make. The point he was trying to make on Monday. It's like selective hearing, and he referred to it as being selfish, as opposed to instead of doing what you want to do, what we need you to do to help the team win. And they've got to buy into that. And if it's coach driven, it's not going to work. It's got to be player driven, and there's got to be more voices being communicating that message across. It just can't be Nika Mule all the time. It's got to be Nika Mule. It's got to be Aaliyah Edwards. It's got to be Dorka Uhas. It's got to be Caroline. It's got to be Aubrey Griffin. But are some of these kids made up that way? Good question.
As you look at the Big East tournament, and for a team that's been dealing with nagging injuries, that's had a bit of a depth issue, now you got to play 3 games in 3 days. How big of a challenge do you think it is for this team at this time, if they're going to win the whole thing, to have to do that?
Oh, I think it's a big challenge. And not only is it 3 games in 3 days, but none of them are going to be easy.
Right.
Okay, now, look, they should win Saturday.
Yeah.
That's a given. But Georgetown's been a royal pain in their butt. I mean, Kennedy Fauntleroy is the Big East freshman of the year. She's played great against UConn, particularly the game down there. She had 20-some-odd points. Grace Ann Bennett's pretty good. Kelsey Ransom's their leading scorer. She's been okay. UConn's done a pretty good job on her. But then you get to Sunday. You're either getting St. John's or Marquette, the 2 teams that beat UConn, who still aren't totally in. I mean, Charlie Cream has them in their field of 68, but those 2 teams would be playing in playing games.
Yeah.
Like Tuesday or Wednesday. So it's not a given they're in yet. So that Saturday game at 2:30 is going to be a knockdown drag out. And then whoever plays UConn on Sunday could be fighting for their NCAA tournament live, saying, hey, another one against UConn, we're in.
Yeah.
That looks really good on the resume. And then if you get through those 2, you're either playing Villanova, most likely, or probably Creighton.
Yeah.
Although Creighton has issues with Seton Hall. And if Villanova plays DePaul, that could be interesting because the way DePaul plays, if they're really, really hot, that could be an issue. So nothing's a given this year in the Big East tournament.
No.
There's no clear-cut favorite. But right now, if it came up to me to pick a favorite, I would say Villanova is the favorite.
I'm going to take a quick break from the interview to tell you about my friends at Martin Rosol's Meats. This 4th-generation Connecticut family business produces kielbasa, hot dogs, sausages, and deli meats using Martin Rosol's very own original recipes. Their products can be found in grocery stores, delis, restaurants, and hot dog stands throughout the state. And if you're looking for your fill right away, check out their retail store in New Britain. For more information, visit martinroselsinc.com and go support a UConn fan-owned business. And now, back to the interview.
When you look at and I don't want to look too far ahead, obviously got to get past either, the Georgetown game, if that's what they end up on Saturday. On Sunday, who do you think gives them a tougher matchup? Whether it be Marquette or St. John's there. Who do you think's the tougher one there?
I think it'd be St. John's only because they have more offense. Khadijah Bailey's a 5th-year player. She's pretty good. the young lady, and now I totally blanked on her name, the kid who transferred from Pittsburgh, Everett.
Yeah.
She went off in the second half against UConn. She hit some of those big shots, but come to find out, that's been the norm for her in close games. She's an outstanding offensive player. Raven Peoples, outstanding rebounder. Nothing from the offensive standpoint. Marquette's just tough. They grind it out. They're two different ways, but from an offensive standpoint, St. John's would be the scarier threat, but Marquette's the best defensive team in the league. Jordan King's a really good point guard. Chloe Muratis had a fantastic senior year, grad year, fifth year. And she went off on UConn in the second half of the game in Milwaukee, where UConn was all thumbs that night. So both teams present problems, Jared, but I think St. John's has a little more offense than Marquette does. So I guess if push came to shove, I would say the Johnnies. And by the way, props to Joe Tartamella for being named Coach of the Year today.
Yeah, no, big honor for him. How do you think of the first team, second team, all that stuff that came out today? Any surprises to you?
No, not really. No, I thought Aaliyah and Lou would be first teamers. Obviously, Maddie Segrist is the player of the year, and she should be.
Yeah.
Phenomenal year that she's had. I was a little surprised that Nico got defensive player of the year again. I thought maybe Christina Dulce would get it from Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's got long arms, and she's only like 6'1", 6'2", but she leads the league in block shots. I mean, she blocked Aaliyah 2 times in the first 2 minutes of their game in January, the end of January in Hartford, and it totally changed Aaliyah's the way she played the last month. I think it kind of spooked her a little bit. So yeah, but other than that, no, I think everything as is. And people are saying, well, Aaliyah's going to be an All-American. Well, Aaliyah's been really good in November. She was really good in December, and she was really good in January. February, not so much. She's only shooting about 40%. But first team All Big East, yes. And most improved player, given where Aaliyah was at this point last year, absolutely.
And getting to talk with Gino like you do, doing the coaches show and just knowing him personally, what do you think this year has been like for him? Because it seems like, as ups and downs as it's been from a fan's perspective, I mean, he's gone through all of the emotions this year. How do you think he's dealing with things, headed into this tournament and, just going through this season as a whole?
Well, not only the basketball stuff, Jared, but
right.
He got sick after Portland, and then his mom passed away.
Yeah.
So not only the on-the-court stuff, but the off-the-court stuff. And, he has his ups and downs. In fact, somebody actually asked him in the after show, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Because he has his good days. He has his bad days. Some days he says, hey, I want to keep doing this forever. Other days it's like, okay, when can we be done?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's had as much ups and downs personally as the players have with all the injuries and all the inconsistencies of this basketball team. So it's been a real tough grind on him. I would imagine he will be very happy when late March, early April comes around, when the season's over and he can just breathe and decompress and, go away for a couple of days and with his wife and just get out of town for a little while. But yeah, it's been as tough on him as it has more than any year. And I thought last year was tough, given what they went through with COVID and all the precautions that they had to take. I thought that was tough on him, but I think this year's been obviously tougher on him, not only just from a basketball standpoint, but obviously the personal standpoint.
I'll wrap with this one in 2 parts here. I know you mentioned you might make Villanova the favorite heading into this tournament. So this might answer this part of the question, but A, who's impressed you the most outside of UConn in the conference this year, having seen all of these teams up close? And then the second part is, what do you think, of this Big East now? Because it seems like this year, the league as a whole really stepped it up, where you've got multiple teams in contention here, and what that says for the future of this conference.
Well, I've been impressed with Villanova. I mean, they just haven't found a way to beat UConn yet this season. That doesn't mean they're not a good team. I love Lucy Olson. Yeah. I mean, as a point guard, she's really good. And the battles that she and Nika have up close and personal, they're fun. I mean, Lucy really tries to get under Nika's skin. She's like Brad Marchand for the Bruins or Dustin Pedroia of the Red Sox. She's the kind of girl that tries to get under your skin. If she played for you, you'd love to have her. Well, yeah. Nika, so they're kind of, they're not polar opposites. They're very much alike, and they just find ways to butt heads. So Villanova's impressed me. Creighton's kind of scary because if they start knocking down threes, they're in any game they play.
Yeah.
And when they played UConn the last time, they were in a stretch where they were hitting 13, 13, 11, 13 threes. They hit 12 against UConn, and I still don't know how UConn figured out how to win that basketball game, but they found a way to get it done. They're scary. And obviously St. John's and Marquette have been impressive this year. I mean, the top 5 are pretty good.
Yeah.
After that, there's a drop off. Seton Hall's kind of in the middle. They'll go to the WNIT. DePaul is down from where they normally are. I mean, Moore is a great player, but the pieces around her. Rogers is really good. I mean, she can shoot from anywhere. She's like Caitlin Clark. She'll shoot from midcourt and either brick it or sink it. We saw that on Saturday. But after that, I mean, Georgetown's better than they have been. I've been impressed with the way James Howard has done it, built his team slowly but surely. And obviously, the transfer portal has had a lot to do with it. I mean, St. John's was awful last year. But Joe Tartamella was smart about how he used the transfer portal. And suddenly, they're the 4 seed. And he earned his Coach of the Year honors. So it's better. I mean, obviously, having UConn in the league should make you better. That was the hope in the American. Never materialized. But the Big East, having UConn, teams are raising their level of play. And the hope is, instead of 2 teams in the NCAA tournament, and oh, by the way, those 2 teams that were in the NCAA tournament, oh, I'm sorry, 3 teams. DePaul was in there, but they got trashed in the play-in game last year. But 2 of the 3 teams got to the Elite 8 last year, and one of them played for a championship. So I think the Big East is getting some reputation. Marquette beat Texas early in the season, out in the Bahamas.
Yep.
And who else did they beat? They beat another good team. Was it UCLA or Gonzaga? One of those teams, I think. But they beat a really good team. So they're getting a reputation, and good for them. And UConn has a lot to do with it. If you want to beat the best, you
got to step it up.
You got to step it up, and programs are doing that, and I like it. And obviously, the way Villanova plays, it's not Harry Peretta style, but it's a lot like that. And they have Maddie Segrist.
Yeah,
I'll be interested to see what they do next year. I mean, look, if UConn stays healthy next year, no one's close. The Big East, right?
Yep.
So we'll see. I mean, it's funny, Jared. One of the things that was brought up in the after show: how many games do you think Paige and AZ have played together in 2 years?
Oh, geez,
it's like 15.
Yeah, I was gonna say it had to be under 20.
Yeah, think about that for a minute. Is that crazy?
It really is. I mean, they came in with the promise of what could be with those 2 on the court, and to think you've only seen them for 15 games is wild.
Yeah. So we'll see. And supposedly the freshman class is supposed to be really good coming in next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
But a lot of things were said about Ice Brady. Ayanna Patterson will get better. She needs to slow down. Mm-hmm. She's like Mariah Jefferson at the guard position when she was a freshman. It's high speed, and she doesn't know how to slow down. She's that bull in the china shop. We've seen glimpses of it the last couple of weeks, but she'll be fine. And we'll just see what happens. It's gonna be an interesting March for sure. And then when we get to the big dance, let's see what the matchups are. It's all about matchups, Jared. You know that.
Yeah.
And we'll see how far they go, but don't be shocked if the streak comes to an end this year.
Yeah. When's the last conference tournament you've got into where you're not like 95% convinced that UConn could take it?
It's
been a while,
2012.
Right? Yeah.
Probably 2012. They finished 3rd in the league that year in 2012, and they won it. I mean, it was the payback tour. They beat I think they beat DePaul. Then they beat St. John's, who beat them in Gamble to end the 99-game win streak, and then they beat Notre Dame that year in the Big East Championship. I think that was Gino's 800th win, I think. If I remember right.
Yeah, I think you're right.
13 was even. I mean, those 3 games with Notre Dame during the season, 2 regular season, the Big East Championship game, those could have gone either way. They all went Notre Dame's, and then UConn finally, and Stewie woke up in the NCAA tournament, and everything changed, and we know the rest of the story. But it's been a while since UConn has not been the clear-cut favorite. That's for sure.
Well, Bob, enjoy the weekend. I hope, and UConn fans hope you have a nice long weekend at Mohegan Sun. And,
wait a minute now. Hold on now. It starts tomorrow. We got hockey at Boston first.
Oh, you're okay.
Hockey at Boston Friday. Come home. Go to Mohegan. Do the game Saturday at noon. Then go up to Toscano. Do the hockey game with BC. Then I can kind of compress a little bit with just one game a day.
Yeah. Oh, geez. All right. You're getting the runaround this weekend.
Yeah. And my daughter-in-law and my grandson are here for the weekend, so I don't get a lot of time with them. But Friday morning will be a good morning.
There you
go with the Robster and Grandpa. That's for sure.
There you go. Well, enjoy the time with the family, enjoy all the action, and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much for coming on tonight.
All right, Jared. Thank you. You're welcome.